That's a really good question, Alex, and it's one that I've thought about a great deal. To do it in 2011 on the 400th anniversary of the King James Bible makes a lot of sense. It's a play that tells how a document came into being, and it's quite an extraordinary story. But to then move forward to another time, I think you need to think about, whether the play serves any purpose for today or not. And so I have been thinking a lot about what that process was, how the King James Bible came about. It was written largely by a man named William Tyndale, who most people don't know. Even some significant Bible scholars don't know a great deal about Tyndale. He was burned at the stake as a heretic quite a few years before King James came to the throne, 70 or so years beforehand. And Tyndale was a wealthy guy. He had gone to Cambridge. He had studied Latin and also was fairly fluent in Hebrew. And so he was able to translate the Bible, which at that time was only available in those languages. And the reason why it was only available in those languages is that the church, and by extension the monarchy, wanted to be able to tell the people what God thought, and by extension how they should behave. And so Tyndale had a different idea. He said, I want the plowboys to be able to read and understand the Word of God. And so he set out to adapt this ancient text into a easily understandable English. David was talking to our cast the other day, and he pointed out that William Shakespeare's canon of work utilizes some 29,000 different words, many of which Shakespeare invented on the spot, but the King James Bible only has about 5,000 words, so it has about a sixth the number of words in it. And that doesn't mean it's any less influential or impactful. In fact, probably more so. But it was deliberately intended to be something that could be read and understood by uneducated people, by people who didn't have a vast vocabulary. And so Tyndale set out to do that, and the book was immediately burned. The church confiscated all 5,000 copies, and they tried to burn them all. A few got away. I think Anne Boleyn kept a secret copy under her mattress, which she actually shared with Henry VIII. But it was basically considered the work of someone who was trying to agitate, to stir up trouble, to challenge the existing authority structure in England. And of course, similar ideas were roiling all across Western Europe with the work of Martin Luther and John Wesley and some people like that. And so there was a great deal of turmoil going on at about that time. And Tyndale fled. He realized that he was no longer welcomed in the country. He was captured eventually by the Spanish and imprisoned for a long period of time. And finally, he was executed for having dared to do this. The play tells the entire story about that, and how not only did the New Testament, which he had originally written, came into being, but he actually wrote a number, or translated, I should say, a number of the books of the Old Testament, and somehow they also found their way into publication, and the play speculates about how that might have come about.